A very interesting week of baseball just got capped up, July 16th to July 22nd, and here I am to recap everything, starting with the American League in this video. My next video will be on the National League, but I'm going to get started on the American League first. Let's get started out with the weekend series of the Rangers Angels. Now, how they got to this point, the Rangers end up splitting 1-1 against the A's. Meanwhile, the Angels were getting beat up 3 out of 4 games by the Tigers, a red hot Tigers team who were just scoring run after run after run. They're clicking on right after the All-Star break, and much needed. So this weekend series was a must-win for the Angels to at least take 2 out of 3, if not sweep the series. And they did take 2 out of 3, and it was good to see that the one game they lost, they got rocked. Irvin Santana got rocked, and Yu Darvish pitched phenomenally. But Jared Weaver and Dan Haren, and also Dan Haren came back from injury today as they beat the Rangers 7-4. And another thing that stood out to me was the current AL MVP favorite for the time being, Josh Hamilton. He has been struggling as of late, and it's kind of worrisome. I mean, it seems like he's looking something more like his movie deal that they keep bringing up. I feel like he's just like disinterested at the plate at times, and I just don't see the same Josh Hamilton I saw before the All-Star break. I mean, the entire week he only had one home run, and he went 4 for 20 on the batting spot, and that's becoming very worrisome to the eyes of Ranger fans. They're still got a 5-game lead, but the Angels are no team to sleep on, especially with their high-powered offense and Mike Trout, who I think is probably the AL MVP candidate, although he is a rookie. But still, it'd be a great accomplishment for your first year to win an MVP in the American League when you're only 20 years old. I say that's pretty damn good if you ask me. But that's that. And so now the Angels they took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers. They're only 5 games. They're 5 games out of first. I know it seems like a lot, but it could be caught up in overtime. But that's up to the Rangers, and that's up to Texas. Another thing I want to get to while I'm still in the AL West is the Oakland Athletics. They have now won 9 of the last 10, and helping out with that, besides the fact that they split 1-1 with the Rangers, is that they swept the Yankees. Yeah, 4 straight, 4-game series. A's won all of them. Who would have ever thought that was going to happen earlier in the week? And I always feel like it just seems like every year the Yankees overlook the A's for some unparticular reason. I remember Dallas Braden throw a no-hitter against this team a couple years back. So it always seems like the A's have their number for some unknown reason. And this is the first time in history that the Yankees lost an entire series, every game in the series, by 1 run. Yeah, 1 run. They lost 4-3 in the first one, 3-2 in the second one, 2-1 in the third one, and 5-4 today after leading 4-0 by as early as the 4th inning, and then Oakland tied it up. I mean, the Yankees can kind of afford it because they're still way ahead in the AL East. They're up by a good 6 games still. That's even with the Orioles coming on, but now the A's are back in the wild card hunt. They are now split a spot with the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles they're starting to come together again as well. And I'm about to get to them right now. As the Orioles, they had a pretty successful week as they swept the Cleveland Indians, and they've been looking pretty phenomenal doing it. Although they kept it kind of close today, but they're up 4-3. Zach Britton's still a great pitching prospect, and they had to rally a little bit today, but Zach Britton, he's one of the great young pitchers in the league, so I expect nothing less. And they also took 2 out of 4 from the last place Twins. You think they should sweep or at least take 3, but nah. When you give up 19 runs in one of those games, that's not going to happen. So do I think the Orioles can keep it up? Maybe. I mean, the series is technically not over yet. They still have one more game. I think it was a postponement game, but it ends on Monday. And then they start with the Rays and then the A's later on in the week. So that's the state of the Orioles right now. Still second place, 6 games behind. The Rays, they gone screwed up. They ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the last place in the AL West, which is the Seattle Mariners. Now, if you're the Tampa Bay Rays and you're at home against a really bad baseball club, you can't be losing games like this. You can't be losing 2 out of 3 to the Mariners. And the one game you win, it took 14 innings to do that. You can't do that. Now, I know Jason Vargas He beat him in one of them. He's still a pretty solid pitcher, but as good as your offense is, as good as all the talent you have, and you cannot, you know, there's just really no excuse for that. The rest of the week before all that, they split 2-2 with the Indians, who are still trying to fight for a wild card spot. But I mean, what gets to me is that the Rays, they have all the talent in the world. You can't be losing the last place team at this point of the season, man. I mean, they're still. All right, I'm done talking about y'all. But now let me get to another surprise of the week, or not really a surprise, but something that really stood out to me. The Tigers sweeping the White Sox. Now, I talk about the Tigers. I know how good their pitching staff is. We all know how good their hitting can be when they're on. They're on. And as I said before, they won 3 out of 4 against the Angels, and they look pretty good doing it, except the 13-0 game they lost when Turner just got his ass blown out, and they got beat by Garrett Richards of all people. But the White Sox just got too much of Justin Verlander the first game, and then the second game they just got blown out. And then they could have had today's game, but they ended up blowing it at the end. So go figure. The White Sox haven't really been good since 2005. But anyway, Tigers. I think now that they're in first place too, I think they can keep it. Yes, I think I predicted before the Tigers would win this division, and the White Sox will fall back to maybe a wild card, maybe not even make the playoffs. So I mean, the Tigers, they're looking pretty good. And Valverde picked up 2 saves this week, and they had a whole lot of offense. Those bats are clicking now. Prince Fielder's coming on, and all those guys. So they're a team to watch out for. It. I wouldn't be surprised if they held on to it and won the division. Whenever Prince Fielder, Miguel Cabrera, Mickey Cabrera, as I say, Johnny Peralta, oh my god, Delman Young, and all those guys come in, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And Chicago, I want to say they can win the division, but I don't think they have enough. I mean, they lost a cancer patient of a coach, Ozzie Guillen. He was one of their main reasons they were struggling for so many years, and because he draws too much attention to himself. But they still got a good team. I mean, Konerko and AJ Przinsky and Alex Rios, and Adam Dunn as a DH. But I just don't think they have enough to really close this thing out the way they should. Now, and as the standings show, the Tigers are up in first by a game and a half. White Sox fall back to a game and a half, but they're still. I think they have control of one of the wild card spots. You might have to check me on. Let me check that out right now. While this is live, I am Scott Pilgrim, and nope, they were a game back in the wild card. My bad. Okay. So they're game back behind the Orioles and the Athletics. Remember the A's, they swept, so now they're tied with Baltimore. So now let me get to Toronto and Boston in the fertility battle for the AL East. Although it's not really so fertility considering the fact that they're both only a few games away from a wild card spot. But might I add, the Blue Jays, without Jose Bautista, they come to the series against Boston. You would think, oh, Red Sox at home? Blue Jays haven't swept them in Boston since 2009. It should be an easy series for Boston, right? No Jose Bautista? We got this. No. Well, see, after Red Sox took about 3 out of 4 against the White Sox, they kind of got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays, including today's travesty of John Lester giving up 4 home runs today and giving up 11 earned runs in the process on this last game of being swept 15-7 as the other good games. Now, here's what I want to get at. Now, I want to give props to the Blue Jays for sweeping Red Sox without their best player, without one of the leading home run hitters in the league. But the Red Sox thing about the Boston is they're so close to the playoffs. They're in last place, but they're still 500. I mean, to be last place in 500, that's got to be some kind of an accomplishment. But I just feel like something's just not there. I mean, I'm just waiting for them to click it. I think Boston fans will agree and say anytime they're just going to click and they're just going to explode. But it just hasn't happened yet. And people have been waiting for a long time, particularly Red Sox fans. And you think that they still have that daunting hint in their mind back from September 11 when they September 2011, by the way, when they gave up that nine game lead to the Rays for that wild card, and Boone goes to Dynamite, and the Red Sox thinking, I don't know if we can ever get over that hump because they have too much talent not to get on a hot streak, but at the same time their pitching sucks for one, and number two, I just don't know if they're mentally capable of doing so. I mean, I wouldn't pull it past them that the Red Sox are going to make a run at the end, but I just don't see it right now. They're just not the Boston Red Sox of old, that's for sure. When I think it all really started when you traded Kevin Youkilis too, because that really killed them, and I couldn't stress that enough. Not that the White Sox are winning now, but still, Youkilis is still a great talent and probably one of the best Red Sox to play in recent memory. So it can't all fall in the hands of Big Papi anymore. Someone's got to pick up the slack, and someone's just got to drive that team, because otherwise it's going to be another bittersweet ending, or not bittersweet. It's going to be a bad ending for the Red Sox, and those fans in Boston, they hate it when their team's losing. When the Patriots lost the Super Bowl, I remember they were all pissed, and we never heard the end of it for the next 2 weeks. Same for the Celtics. And last but not least, if anyone pays attention, the Twins took 2 out of 3 from the Royals, and they had a pretty decent week. It was an alright week to be a Twins fan, considering the season's not going as planned. But that about wraps that up. In other words, the major changes, the Tigers overcome the White Sox. They take first place. And the White Sox are basically the disappointing team of the week as they fall to second place, and they're not even in a wild card spot anymore. So that's that. And the Angels did take 2 out of 3, although they lost 3 out of 4 to the Tigers, so they're still in second, but still got a wild card spot, so they're still in semi good shape. But all in all, the Rangers are still in first. The Yankees are still in first, despite getting swept 4 games in a row by the A's. So it's been a pretty interesting week. And there's also been a trade, but I'm going to discuss more of that in my next video between the Blue Jays and Astros. But be sure to check out my next video when I get the National League going.